As America awaits Mueller's report, Donald Trump's camp is thinking of ways to either withhold it from the public or redact it. In fact, there was a huge question about whether or not Trump can prevent it from being released to the public or to Congress by using executive privilege. Now, his own lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, is arguing that Donald Trump and his lawyers should have the ability to see the report, correct it, and then release it. I'm not even kidding. This is really something that he suggested in an interview with Politico. I'm sorry, with The Hill, I apologize. So he said, quote, "As a matter of fairness, they should show the Mueller report to you so we can correct it if they're wrong. They're not God after all, they could be wrong."
To be fair to Rudy Giuliani, when he was a prosecutor in Manhattan, he would let the defendants correct his statements all the time. Before he admitted any evidence to the judge, he would say, "Oh, I would like the defendant's lawyer to correct this before I submit it." Right? That's not really how our laws work, Rudy.
This is crazy. Okay, so the rest of his quote goes as follows. "Of course we have to see the report before it goes to Congress. We have reserved executive privilege and we have a right to assert it. The only way we can assert it is if we see what's in the report." Now, he was also asked about news that broke just this week in a very poorly redacted filing regarding Paul Manafort, the campaign chairman for Donald Trump, who's gonna be in prison for a long time. Now, Manafort's, we found out through that poorly redacted filing that Manafort actually shared campaign data with Russians. And he shouldn't have done that. And these are specifically people who wanted to meddle in the elections. So when Giuliani was asked about that, here's what he had to say. Should Manafort have shared opinion poll data with the Russians? No, but there's nothing criminal about it, except when there's an investigation regarding Russian collusion. It's a piece of evidence that works against this narrative that you and the Trump administration is trying to put out there.
One more, to be fair to Rudy, by the way, that's a preview to me not being fair to him. Me making fun of him because he's a jackass. Okay, so let me explain in this case. So he normally goes through these different layers. First he goes, "Oh, that's not a crime." Like they're like, "Okay, Trump seemed to have worked with the Russians and it's collusion." Collusion's, I looked it up, collusion's not actually in the statute, it's not a crime. They're like, "Yes, but getting in-kind contributions from a foreign government is definitely a crime." Okay, well, all right, that didn't work. I hear you, but then he goes to the next stage. But it's not a big crime. He literally said that. He's like, "Well, I mean, look, it's not like he killed anyone." It's a terrible defense, terrible. So now he's at the first stage here, like, "Oh, so we gave information to the Russians in the middle of the campaign, but it was only the campaign chairman." Okay, fine, but it wasn't a crime, was it? Rudy, you're the lawyer.
Just stop talking. Stop doing interviews. Stop talking.
Right. And if you are, mention some grounds that might be, not insane, which there aren't any, so he can't, which goes back to not talking. But we're talking. Okay, Mueller's the former director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, right? Okay, he's not God. That's a fair point. The investigation committee, not God. Okay, but beyond that, he's got literally no leg to stand on. It's ridiculous. Can we see it before it goes out so we can change it?
Yeah, we can make corrections.
We can correct everything they've done in case we don't like it and it's all wrong. It could be wrong, you don't know.
I guess you gotta give him a little credit for trying, right? Like, I'm not giving him credit, don't get me wrong, but it's like, I don't know, I'll try anything, right? Even if I look like a clown, who knows? Like, let me give it a shot. I mean, what could I possibly lose at this point?
How could it get worse?
How could it get worse? And by the way, before I get to you guys, I wanna just quickly show you that, look, this is not some partisan conversation, right? We're not just a bunch of libs that are looking at this story and thinking, hey, we hate Trump, so we think he's guilty. There are people on the right who are now like, mounting evidence, this is not good. In fact, one of those people on the right is Judge Napolitano, who said this on Fox News.
This shows that Bob Mueller can demonstrate to a court, without the testimony of Paul Manafort, that the campaign had a connection to Russian intelligence, and the connection involved information going from the campaign to the Russians.
And would that be conspiracy?
Yes, a conspiracy is an agreement to commit a crime. The crime would be to receive something of value from a foreign person or government during a campaign. Whether or not the thing of value arrives, the agreement is what is the crime. There was apparently an agreement between the campaign manager and this Russian oligarch. What the oligarch did with the material we gave him, who the campaign manager Manafort spoke to in the campaign, Bob Mueller has yet to reveal. The crime is conspiracy, the agreement. Collusion is a non-legal term.
Oh, I know, but
Right.
if there's a collusion, giving stuff to the Russians about polling data,
Would
that
probably fit into that kind of a category.
Yeah.
So when that was explained to Rudy Giuliani on Fox News of all places, his response was, oops. Yeah, you see, that would be a clear explanation of the crime, which you now say like, well, what crime, what crime? Well, he just explained it, isn't it? So again, credit to Judge Napolitano for being principled, even though we don't agree with him on the policies, he's right about the law. That's just the fact. So speaking of which, that leads me to the other point I want to make. He makes it sound like, well, I mean, Mueller's got this report, and then like, what are we just supposed to accept it? Or what, he's not God, right? Yeah, but we don't just accept it. That's not how our system works. A prosecutor submits that as evidence. Right. Now, in this case, it's a little different because it's the president and he might not indict him. But under a normal situation, you then present that in court, and then the defense gets to present their case. It's not like, oh, the prosecutor said it, so that's it, we're done with it. No, we have a whole system to make sure you get a fair trial. And then it's not God, but the person who decides is the judge. And what evidence is submitted? Not the defense attorney never gets to decide what evidence is submitted overall for the entirety of the case. That's crazy.
Or to
no,
tamper
the judge
with
decides.
It. Or to tamper. I mean, effectively, that's what that would be doing.
That's exactly right.
That's really funny because he's like proposing to commit a crime.
Basically,
yes,
right?
yes. So look, I mean, if you were in any normal case and the defense attorney said, Your Honor, I'd like to take the prosecutor's evidence and change it. The judge would be like, no, that's not how it works, and suggest it one more time, and then you'll really be in the defense because it'll be your trial. Okay, you don't get to change the prosecutor's evidence. You get to counteract it. You get to argue against it. That's why we're having a trial. And in this case, the trial could be an impeachment. It could be an indictment later, et cetera. There's a lot of different ways that it can go. But the idea that you can just change it is preposterous. And I mean, look, I hear what Anna's saying. Look, he doesn't have much of a case, Giuliani.
Yeah, like so look, it takes. You have to, like, I would be embarrassed to publicly say something like that. And I guess I got to give him props for having absolutely no fear or shame of being embarrassed. Like, he's embarrassing himself, and he just does it every single time he appears on television.
Yeah, I mean, look, they tried affluenza, and that worked. The defense was, my client is too rich to know the consequences of his actions, and that worked. So you never know, but in this case, it is absolutely preposterous. One last thing I want to say about it, because it's important context is, look, part of what they're trying to do is, can we just doctor the report and nobody ever finds out? And that's not gonna fly, right? But the second thing they're trying to do is delay it. And so they say, hey, I need to see it first. Because hey, technically the Justice Department's within the executive branch. I'm the head of the executive branch. You gotta give it to me first. Why? Why do they wanna do that? It's eventually gonna get out, but they wanna have time to prepare their public case, let alone the defense itself, right? They want to be able to build a PR case around it. So while no one else is allowed to talk about it, it would give them several days to build their public relations efforts and then do that while Mueller cannot respond.
You know what? Have at it. I mean, because
it's not gonna work anyway.
It's
this
not
is
gonna
their PR
work.
effort,
Exactly,
right?
exactly. So good luck, good luck. Build your PR effort. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Thanks for watching this free clip of the Young Turks. Don't forget to become a TYT member today. For more exclusive content, join now at tyt.com/join.